The morning sun of Veridax cast purple light across the crystal towers of Celestial Academy. Inside the grand hall, 300 students sat in perfect rows. Every single one of them was female. Every single one of them was alien. Not one human walked these halls. That was about to change. Headmistress Verena stood at the podium. Her silver scales caught the light as she adjusted her ceremonial robes. The room fell silent. She cleared her throat and spoke. Students of Celestial Academy, today marks a historic moment. For 3 centuries, our institution has maintained its traditions. Today we honor the Intergalactic Education Treaty. We will welcome our first male student. He is also our first human. Gasps filled the hall. Whispers erupted like wildfire. A human. A male human? Here. In the back row, Sierra crossed her arms. Her pale blue skin flickered with annoyed light patterns. Lumine did not like surprises. Beside her, Crix clicked her mandibles nervously. The insectoid girl's compound eyes reflected confusion. On her other side, Naya's gills fluttered. The aquatic girl gripped her water breather tight. A human boy? Crix whispered. Are they not the weak species? The ones who barely left their solar system. Primitive creatures, Sarah muttered. Her bioluminescence pulsed red. This will be a disaster. The doors at the back opened. Every head turned. Every eye focused on the figure walking down the center aisle. Jake Carson tried to keep his hands from shaking. His backpack felt too heavy. His uniform felt too tight. 300 pairs of alien eyes watched his every step. Some eyes were large and multifaceted. Others glowed from within. Some didn't look like eyes at all. He was 16 years old. He was from Earth. He was completely terrified. Jake reached the front and stood beside Headmistress Verena. She towered over him. Most species did. Humans were not known for their size or strength. They were barely known at all. This is Jake Carson from Earth, Verena announced. I expect you all to treat him with the respect due any student of this academy. Jake, you may take the empty seat in Advanced Quantum Physics. Room 7. Jake nodded. He could not trust his voice. He walked toward the exit as 300 students stared. Some looked curious. Some looked amused. Many looked disgusted. Room 7 was on the 3rd floor. Jake climbed the stairs and found it easily. Through the window in the door, he saw students already seated. All girls. All alien. He took a deep breath and entered. Silence crashed over the room like a wave. Conversation stopped mid-word. A teacher at the front looked up from her tablet. She was Sarkathy. 8 feet tall with red scales and golden eyes that could pierce steel. Professor Zelar did not look pleased. You must be the human, she said. Her voice rumbled like distant thunder. Take the seat in the back. Try not to slow down the class. Ow. Jake walked to the empty desk. He passed a girl with crystalline skin. Another with tentacles instead of arms. A third whose head seemed to be made of living smoke. He sat down and pulled out his tablet. Professor Zillera began the lesson. She wrote equations on the holographic board that made Jake's head hurt. The other students typed notes rapidly. Some did not even use devices. They seemed to calculate in their heads. Now then, Professor Zillara said, we have been working on this problem for 3 weeks. The quantum harmonics of dual star systems. Who can tell me how to solve for the gravitational constant when both stars are pulsars? No hands rose. Students shifted uncomfortably. This was clearly a difficult problem. Jake looked at the equation. He tilted his head. Something about it seemed familiar. Back on Earth, he had learned physics differently. Humans did not have the advanced computers these aliens used. They had to think around problems. Find shortcuts. Use intuition, he saw it. The pattern hidden in the chaos. It was not about solving the entire equation. It was about recognizing what could be ignored. Jake raised his hand. Every head turned. Professor Zylara's eyes widened slightly. Yes, human boy, she asked. Jake, he said quietly. My name is Jake, and I think I see the answer. Sierra leaned forward in her seat 3 rows ahead. This ought to be entertaining. watching the primitive human embarrass himself. "Please enlighten us, Jake," Professor Zelara said. Her tone dripped with doubt. Jake stood. He walked to the board. He picked up the light pen. His hand shook slightly, but he began to write. "The problem is everyone is trying to solve for both pulsars at once," he explained. "But they are synchronized. If you treat them as a single rotating system instead of two separate objects, the gravitational constant becomes a simple derivative." He wrote the steps. The room watched in stunned silence. He simplified, reduced, isolated. Within 2 minutes he had the answer. Professor Zelara stared at the board. She checked her tablet. Her golden eyes went wide. "That is correct," she said slowly. "That is absolutely correct." "How did you see that pattern?" Jake shrugged. "I guess humans think differently. We are not as smart as you, so we have to find easier paths." He returned to his seat. The silence in the room felt different now. Not hostile, confused, impressed. Sira's bioluminescence flickered between colors. Her mind raced. How did he do that? 3 weeks, and none of them had solved it. This week, little human walked in and found the answer in seconds. The rest of class passed in a blur. When the bell rang, students filed out quickly. Jake gathered his things slowly. He did not want to face the crowd in the hallway. He was the last one out. Almost. 3 girls waited outside the door. Sira with her flickering blue skin, Crix with her insectoid features clicking nervously, Naya with her gills pulsing rapidly. They stepped in front of him, blocked his path. "Human," Sira said. Her voice was cold. "We need to talk." Jake swallowed hard. His first day was not going well. "My name is Jake," he said quietly. "Wait. We do not care about your name," Sira continued. "We want to know how you solved that problem. What trick did you use? What technology?" "No trick," Jake said. "Just thinking." Crix clicked her mandibles. "Impossible. Humans are not supposed to be intelligent. You must have cheated." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. He had spent his whole life being told humans were not good enough for the galaxy. Too weak, too slow, too stupid. He was tired of it. "I did not cheat," he said. His voice was stronger now. "I solved it. If that bothers you, that is your problem, not mine." He pushed past them and walked down the hall. His heart pounded. His hands shook, but he held his head high. Behind him, Sira watched him go. Her bioluminescence pulsed rapidly. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever walked away from her. She did not know if she was angry or impressed. Crix and Naya looked at each other. "This human is strange," Naya said. "Very strange," Crix agreed. Sira said nothing. She just watched the human boy disappear around the corner. Something told her this year was going to be very different from any that came before. She had no idea how right she was. Part 2. Breaking Stereotypes. Jake spent the rest of his first day trying to be invisible. It did not work. Everywhere he went, students stared. They whispered. They pointed. By lunch, he had heard himself called primitive 14 times and weak 9 times. One girl had actually laughed when he struggled to open a door, designed for 8-fingered hands. He ate alone in the cafeteria. The food was strange. Purple paste that tasted like metal. Green cubes that somehow tasted like music sounded. He missed pizza. He missed home. Human. Jake looked up. Sira stood over his table. Crix and Naya flanked her like bodyguards. Other students turned to watch. The cafeteria grew quieter. "My name is Jake," he said tiredly. "I already told you that." "Fine, Jake." Sira's bioluminescence pulsed orange. "I have a proposal. Tomorrow in combat arena class, you will face me in a duel." Jake nearly choked on his green cube. "A what?" "A duel," Crix explained. Her mandibles clicked with amusement. "It is required class. All students must demonstrate combat capability. You will fight, Sira. When you lose, everyone will see that your problem-solving was just luck." "I do not want to fight anyone," Jake said. "Too bad," Sira replied. "Combat arena is mandatory. You cannot refuse. Tomorrow at second bell." The entire class will watch." She turned and walked away. Crix and Naya followed. The cafeteria erupted in excited chatter. A human in the combat arena? This would be entertaining. This would be a massacre. Jake put his head in his hands. His first day was getting worse. That night, in his small dorm room, Jake researched Lumine combat styles. It was not encouraging. Lumine could manipulate light into solid constructs. Shields, weapons, walls. They were fast and trained from childhood. Jake had taken 3 self-defense classes at his high school. He was going to die. The next morning, Jake walked to the combat arena like a man walking to his execution. The arena was a large dome with cushioned floors and energy barriers. Seats surrounded it in rising tiers. Every single seat was filled. Word had spread. Everyone wanted to watch the human get destroyed. Professor Thane stood in the center. He was Krell-like Crix, but much larger. His exoskeleton was scarred from decades of combat. "Today, we have a special match," he announced. "Syrah of House Luminos versus Jake Carson of Earth. Standard rules. Fight until yield or incapacitation. Serious injury is prohibited. Begin when ready." 8. Jake stepped onto the mat. He wore the standard arena suit. It was too long in the arms. Syrah stepped across from him. Her bioluminescence blazed white. She was ready. She was confident. "Try not to cry, human," she said. The bell rang. Syrah moved instantly. Light formed in her hands. Twin blades of solid photons. She charged forward faster than Jake expected. He barely rolled aside. The crowd gasped. They had expected him to freeze, to panic. Jake scrambled to his feet. Syrah spun and slashed. He ducked. Her blade missed by inches. He could feel the heat from it. "Stand still," Syrah growled. "No thanks," Jake replied. He ran. Not away. Around. Syrah followed. She was faster, but Jake was unpredictable. He changed direction suddenly, jumped over obstacles, used the arena's features. He had watched videos of Lumine fighters. They were trained for honorable combat, direct engagements. They were not trained for someone who fought like a desperate animal. Syrah created a light shield and charged. Jake waited until the last second, then dropped and rolled between her legs. The crowd laughed. Syrah's face blazed bright red with embarrassment and anger. "Ow," she shouted. "No," Jake said. He was breathing hard. His muscles burned, but he was still standing. Syrah created multiple light constructs. Nets. Barriers. She was trying to corner him. Jake analyzed quickly. He could not win directly. But maybe he did not need to. He just needed to last. He grabbed a practice dummy from the edge of the arena and threw it. Syrah sliced it in half without thinking. Jake threw another, then another. She destroyed them all. But she was getting frustrated, getting sloppy. Jake noticed her light constructs flickering slightly. She was using too much energy too fast. Lumine were powerful, but their abilities had limits. He just needed to push her to that limit. For 10 minutes, Jake dodged and ran and threw obstacles. Syrah chased and slashed and grew increasingly angry. The crowd had stopped laughing. They were leaning forward. This was not supposed to happen. The human was supposed to lose immediately. Finally, Syrah created a massive light cage around Jake. He was trapped. She approached with her blades raised. Victory was certain. Then her constructs flickered, wavered, disappeared. She had exhausted herself. Jake stood in the center of the arena unharmed. Breathing hard, covered in sweat. But standing Professor Thane rang the bell. Time limit reached. Match is a draw. The arena exploded with noise, shouts, arguments, disbelief. A draw. The human had survived. Impossible. Syrah stared at Jake. Her bioluminescence pulsed. Through a dozen colors. Confusion, anger, respect, fear. She had used her full power. She had trained for years, and this primitive human had outlasted her. Jake walked over. He extended his hand. "Good match," he said. Sierra looked at his hand. At his face, something strange happened in her chest. A flutter. A warmth. She ignored it. This is not overhuman, she said. But her voice lacked conviction. Jake, he said again. My name is Jake. Over the next week, things changed. Slowly, carefully. Students still whispered, but the tone was different. During a mathematics class, Jake helped Crix understand a concept using a metaphor about ant colonies. She understood immediately. Word spread. The human was a good teacher. In a literature class, Jake described human music, how it made people feel emotions, how it told stories without words. Naya asked a dozen questions. She had never considered that sound could be art. Professor Zillera assigned a group project. Jake was partnered with Sierra, Crix, and Naya. They worked in the library. At first it was tense, silent. Then Jake made a joke. Crix laughed. It sounded like clicking glass, but it was a laugh. They began to talk. Really talk? About their worlds, their cultures, their families. Jake learned that Crix came from a hive of 10,000 sisters, that Naya had never seen land until she was 12, that Sierra was the youngest of her house and felt constant pressure to prove herself. They learned that Jake had a little sister, that his planet was divided into hundreds of countries that spoke different languages, that humans felt emotions so strongly it sometimes hurt. That sounds exhausting, Sierra said. It is, Jake admitted. But it also makes life intense. Every moment matters because we feel it so deeply. Sierra looked at him, really looked at him. His eyes were so strange. Not one color, but several, brown and green and gold. They showed everything he felt: fear, hope, loneliness, determination. Without thinking, she reached out. Her hand touched his. Electricity shot through both of them. Not painful. Something else. Something more. Sierra gasped and pulled away. Her bioluminescence exploded in white light. Every color. All at once, Jake stumbled backward. What was that? Crix's compound eyes went wide. Naya's gills stopped moving entirely. They stared at Sierra. No, Sierra whispered. No, 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 no. She ran. Out of the library, down the hall, her light trail blazing behind her. Jake looked at his hand. It tingled, felt warm. What just happened? Crix and Naya exchanged glances. Their expressions said everything. Something terrible. Something wonderful. Something impossible. Jake Crix said carefully, We need to explain something about Luminae biology. In her room, Sierra locked the door and pressed her back against it. Her whole body glowed, pulsed. She looked at her hand. At the palm Jake had touched, there was a mark, faint, shimmering, the beginning of a resonance pattern. This cannot be happening, she said to the empty room. Not with a human. Anyone but a human. But deep down, she knew the truth. Resonance bonds did not make mistakes. They formed only with perfect matches. Her soul had recognized his. She had just begun to bond with Jake Carson, and there was no way to stop it. Part 3. The bonding crisis. Jake could not sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt it again. The electric warmth. The connection. Something had happened when he touched Sierra. Something important. Something that scared him. He finally gave up on sleep at dawn. He went to the library and searched for information on Luminae. There was a lot. Too much. He scrolled through articles on their history, culture, technology. Then he found a section titled Biological Traits. Under that was a subsection called Resonance Bonding. Jake read. His eyes went wider with every paragraph. His stomach dropped. Resonance. Bonds were rare, sacred. They formed when two beings had perfectly compatible soul frequencies. The Luminae believed every person had a frequency, a unique vibration. When two frequencies matched perfectly, they created resonance, harmony. The bond began with physical contact. It grew over time. Eventually it became permanent. Bonded pairs could sense each other's emotions, feel each other's pain. They were never truly alone. It was considered the highest form of connection. Most Luminae never found their resonance match. Those who did were blessed, but there were rules. Traditions, bonds only formed between Luminae, sometimes between Luminae and other light-based species, never with other races. Definitely never with humans. A bond with a human would be scandalous, shameful, possibly dangerous. Jake closed his tablet. His hands shook. No wonder Sierra had run. No wonder Crix and Naya had looked so shocked. "You found it, then," a voice said. Jake jumped. Crix stood behind him. Her compound eyes reflected the library lights. "How long have you been there?" Jake asked. "Long enough. You understand now why Sierra is terrified." "I did not mean for this to happen," Jake said. "I just touched her hand. I did not know." "No one ever knows," Crix replied. She sat across from him. "Resonance bonds cannot be predicted or prevented. They simply are. The question is, what happens next?" "What do you mean?" "Sierra has three choices. She can accept the bond and face the social consequences. She can reject the bond and live with the pain of separation. Or she can try to hide it and hope it goes away." "Will it go away?" Jake asked. "No," Crix said simply. "Once resonance begins, it only grows stronger. Denial makes it worse." Jake put his head in his hands. "This is a nightmare. For you or for her?" He looked up. "For both of us. I am already an outsider here. Now this. And Sierra, ... she did not ask for this. She hates me." "She does not hate you," Crix said. "She fears you. There is a difference. She fears what bonding with you means. The judgment. The exile. The unknown. So what do I do? Give her space. But be ready. Resonance bonds affect both parties. You will start feeling it too. Her emotions, her presence. It will only get more intense." Crix left. Jake sat alone in the library as purple dawn light filtered through the windows. He felt like his life had just become impossibly complicated. Sierra did not come to class that day, or the next. By the third day, rumors were everywhere. Some said she was sick. Others said she had been called home. A few whispered about the human. About what had happened in the library, Jake tried to focus on classes, but it was hard. He kept thinking about her, worrying. Sometimes he felt strange sensations, flashes of emotion that were not his own. Sadness, fear, longing. Was that her? Was that the bond? On the fourth day, Professor Zilara announced their next assignment. Ethics class. Mandatory debates on controversial topics.
Ow.
"Today's question," she said. "Do humans deserve full rights in the galactic community?" You will be divided into two teams. One will argue yes. One will argue no. "Jake, you will defend humanity," the class murmured. Jake's stomach dropped. This was going to be bad. The debate was scheduled for the next day. Jake spent hours preparing. He researched human achievements, contributions to science, art, philosophy, but he knew what the opposition would say. Humans were weak, violent, short-lived, barely space-worthy. The debate room was packed. Students from other classes came to watch. Jake stood at one podium. Across from him stood Vex, a tall Sarkothi girl with dark red scales and cruel golden eyes. She had made her opinion of humans very clear. They were insects. Mistakes of evolution. Professor Zilara explained the rules. Each side would present arguments, then rebuttals, then open questions from the audience. Winner would be decided by vote. Vex went first. She was prepared, confident. "Humans are a weak species," she began. "They have short lifespans, limited strength, fragile bodies. They have barely explored their own solar system. They fight constant wars among themselves. They destroy their own planet. They have contributed nothing to galactic civilization. Giving them full rights would be a mistake. They should be classified as a developing species. Protected, but limited." "Thank you." Applause filled the room. Vex smiled. This would be easy. Jake stood. His legs felt weak. His mouth was dry. He looked out at 300 faces. Most looked amused. Some looked hostile. None looked sympathetic, except in the back. A familiar blue glow. Sira had come. She stood in the doorway watching. Something steadied in Jake. He took a breath and began. Everything Vex said is true, Jake said. The room went quiet. Humans are weak. We are short-lived. We are fragile. We fight each other. We make mistakes. But you know what else we are? We are survivors. He pointed to the holographic display and pulled up images from Earth history. Humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill us constantly. Predators, disease, natural disasters. We had no scales. No claws, no venom. We should have gone extinct. But we did not. We learned. We adapted. We survived. He changed the image. Human art. Music. Literature. You say we contribute nothing? Humans created beauty from suffering. We wrote poetry about death. We painted pictures of hope. We made music that captures emotions your species process as data. We feel everything. Joy, pain, love, loss, and we turn those feelings into art. He changed the image again. Space exploration. Medical advances. Technology. You say we are barely space-worthy? We went from flying wooden machines to landing on our moon in 60 years. We cured diseases that killed millions. We built quantum computers in a single century. We did this alone, without help, without guidance. We looked at the stars and decided we belonged there. His voice grew stronger, passionate. You want to know what humans contribute? We contribute perspective. Every species here is stronger than us, faster, smarter. But how many of you appreciate what you have? You were born with advantages. You never had to fight for every inch of survival. Humans know the value of life because we know how icily it ends. We know the value of peace because we have known war. We know the value of connection because we have known loneliness. He looked directly at Sira. She glowed brighter. Humans understand one thing better than any species here. We understand that strength is not about power. It is about resilience. It is not about never falling. It is about getting back up. Every single time. Jake finished. Silence filled the room. Then slowly someone started clapping. Then another. Then more. Not everyone, but enough. Sira in the back glowed so bright she hurt to look at. Vex looked stunned. Professor Zilara watched with something like respect. The debate continued, but Jake had made his point. When the vote came, it was close. But humanity won. Jake had defended his species. After class, Sira found him in the hallway. That was a good speech, she said quietly. Thanks, Jake replied. I meant every word. I know. I could feel it. She touched her chest. The bond. I felt your passion. Your conviction. It was overwhelming. I have felt you too, Jake admitted. Your fear. Your pain. I am sorry, Sira. I never wanted to hurt you. You did not hurt me, she said. Her bioluminescence shifted to soft purple. I hurt myself. I have been hiding because I am afraid. Afraid of what people will think. Afraid of what bonding with you means. But watching you today, I realize something. You are not afraid to be who you are. Even when everyone doubts you. Even when it would be easier to hide. Maybe I should learn from that. So what now? Jake asked. Now we take it slow, Sira said. We learn about this bond. We learn about each other. No pressure. No expectations. Just honesty. I smiled. I can do that. Good. Because we have a bigger problem. What? We have a group mission tomorrow? A simulation. Me, you, Crix, and Naya. We need to work together. Can you handle that? I think so, Jake said. Sira held out her hand. Then let us start fresh. I am Sira of House Luminos. It is nice to meet you, Jake Carson of Earth. Jake took her hand carefully. The electric warmth was there again, but this time neither pulled away. They let it flow. Let it connect them. "Nice to meet you too," Jake said. Neither of them knew that tomorrow's simulation would go very wrong, that their bond would be tested in ways they could not imagine, that Jake would have to prove once again that humans were stronger than anyone believed. But for now, in this moment, they simply stood together, connected, and that was enough. Part 4. The rescue the simulation chamber was massive. It could create entire environments, cities, forests, asteroid fields. Today it was set to emergency rescue scenario. A damaged space station. Limited oxygen. Structural collapse. The team had to locate survivors and extract them before time ran out. Jake stood with Sierra, Crix and Naya in the preparation room. They wore environmental suits and carried emergency equipment. Remember Professor Thane said through the intercom? "This is a test of teamwork and quick thinking. The simulation feels real, but it cannot hurt you. If you fail, you simply restart. Do your best." The doors opened. They stepped into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on. They were in a corridor. Twisted metal, sparking wires, smoke. The simulation was incredibly detailed. "Scanners show 3 life signs in Section 7, Crix said, checking her device. "But the direct route is blocked. We need to go around." "I will create light markers," Sierra said. Her hands glowed. Small orbs of light appeared and floated ahead, marking the safe path. They moved quickly. Jake was impressed by how well they worked together. Crix used her multiple arms to clear debris. Naya's flexibility let her squeeze through tight spaces to scout ahead. Sierra provided light and protection. Jake coordinated and kept track of time. They found the first survivor, a holographic alien child trapped under a beam. Crix lifted it easily. Naya treated the injuries. They moved on. The second survivor was in a sealed room filling with toxic gas. Sierra cut through the door with a light blade. Jake pulled the survivor out just before the room exploded. The simulation was getting more intense. They reached Section 7. 3 more survivors huddled in a corner. All children. All terrified. But something was wrong. The structure around them was unstable. Jake could see cracks spreading. "We need to move fast," Jake said. "This whole section is about to collapse." They grabbed the survivors, started back. That was when they heard it. A rumble, then a roar. The corridor behind them exploded. Metal and fire. The ceiling came down. "Run," Sierra shouted. They ran. The simulation was collapsing faster than expected. Something had gone wrong. This was not normal difficulty. Jake carried 1 child. Crix carried 2. Naya had the 3rd. Sierra created shields as debris rained down. They turned a corner and found safety. A reinforced section. They were going to make it. Then the lights died. Not flickered. Died completely. The simulation vanished. Real emergency lights came on. Red. Harsh. "That should not happen," Crix said. An alarm blared. Not the simulation alarm. The real Academy alarm. Professor Thane's voice came over the intercom. "Panicked. All students evacuate immediately. Plasma leak in lower levels? This is not a drill. Evacuate now." The doors burst open. Students poured into the hallways. Organized chaos. Teachers directed traffic. Everyone moved toward the exits. The Academy had trained for this. Plasma leaks were rare, but deadly. The superheated energy could melt through anything. Jake followed Sierra and the others. They climbed stairs. Joined the crowds. Around them, students talked nervously. Some cried. Others tried to stay calm. They reached the main courtyard. Emergency shuttles waited. Teachers counted heads. Sections 9 through 15 accounted for. 1 teacher called. Sections 3 through 8 accounted for. Section 2. "Where is Section 2? A teacher checked her tablet. Her face went pale. Section 2 is the lower academy. Primary students. They were in specialized classrooms. Sealed doors for safety? Are they trapped? Someone asked. Scanners show 3 students still in section to room 4. We need to get them out. Headmistress Verena pushed through the crowd. The plasma leak is spreading. We have maybe 20 minutes before it reaches that section. We cannot send adults. The corridors are too unstable. They will collapse under heavy weight. Then what do we do? Professor Zalara demanded. We cannot leave children down there. Everyone looked at each other. Fear in every eye. Those children were going to die. Jake did not think, did not plan, did not consider the consequences. He just moved. He ran toward the entrance. Back into the academy, Jake. Syrah screamed, "What are you doing? They are just kids." Jake shouted back, "Someone has to go. You will die," Crix yelled. Jake did not stop. He hit the doors and kept running. Into the building. Down the stairs? Toward the danger behind him, Syrah stared. Her bioluminescence exploded. The bond flared. She felt everything Jake felt. Determination, fear, acceptance. He was going to save those children or die trying. No, Syrah whispered. Then louder. No, she ran. Crix grabbed her arm. Syrah, you cannot. He is my resonance, Syrah shouted. Tears streamed down her glowing face. I feel him. I am not letting him die alone. She tore free and ran after Jake. Crix and Naya exchanged glances. Then they ran too. If their friends were going, they were going together. Teachers shouted, tried to stop them, but they were already gone. For students running into certain death, Jake navigated by emergency lights. The lower levels were hot. Getting hotter? Smoke filled the corridors. His suit's display showed the plasma leak spreading. He had maybe 10 minutes, maybe less. He found Section 2. The door was sealed, pressure locked. He hit the override. Nothing. The controls were dead. Syrah's voice said behind him. Jake spun. What are you doing here? Saving you from your own heroic stupidity, Syrah replied. Her hands blazed. She cut through the door with light. It fell inward with a crash. Crix and Naya appeared. The plasma is 3 corridors away, Crix reported. We have 8 minutes. They entered room 4. 3 small aliens huddled in the corner, different species. Maybe 6 or 7 years old? They looked up with huge, terrified eyes. It is okay, Jake said gently. We are here to take you home. One child was injured. Leg crushed under debris. Jake checked her quickly. He could move her, but it would hurt. No choice. Crix, you and Naya take 2. I will carry this one. Syrah, light the way. We move fast. They each grabbed a child. Headed back, the heat was worse now. Jake could feel it through his suit. Sweat poured down his face. The injured child whimpered. He held her carefully, talked to her softly, kept her calm. The route back was worse. A corridor had collapsed. They had to find another way. The smoke was thicker. Jake's display showed 5 minutes. Then 4. They were not going to make it. There. Naya pointed. An maintenance shaft. Small. Tight. But it led up. Go. Jake shouted. Krix went first with 2 children. Then Naya with another. Syrah went next. Jake followed with the injured child. The shaft was cramped, hot, dark. Jake's arms screamed. Every muscle burned. The child was crying now, scared. It is okay, Jake gasped. Almost there. You are so brave, so strong. Just a little more. They climbed, hand over hand. The heat was unbearable. Jake felt his skin blistering even through the suit. His lungs burned. His vision blurred. But he did not stop. Could not stop. Not while the child needed him. They reached the top, burst through into an upper corridor. Relatively safe. They could see the exit, daylight, 200 feet away. Jake stumbled. His legs gave out. He fell. The child rolled free. Sierra caught her. "Jake, get up!" Sierra shouted. "We are almost there." Jake tried. His body would not obey. The plasma exposure, the heat, the smoke. He had pushed too hard, too far. Even human endurance had limits. "Go," he whispered. "Take them and go." "No." Sierra knelt beside him. Tears fell on his suit. "I am not leaving you." "The bond will be fine," Jake said. He smiled weakly. "You will find someone else." "That is not how it works, you idiot." Sierra sobbed. "If you die, I feel it forever. But that is not why I am staying. I am staying because I choose to. Because you ran into hell to save children you do not even know. Because you are the bravest person I have ever met. Because losing you would break me." Jake looked at her. Her beautiful glowing face. Even now, even here, she shined. "I am sorry," he said. "Do not be sorry," Sierra replied. "Just get up, please. For me." "Get up." She reached for his hand. The bond flared. Her energy flowed into him. Strength, life, warmth. She was giving him everything she had. Jake felt it. Felt her. All of her. Her fear, her courage, her heart. She loved him. He realized with shock, loved him completely. The bond had shown her his soul, and she had chosen him anyway. He gripped her hand, drew on her strength, and stood. Together they ran. Out of the corridor, through the doors, into the sunlight. Teachers grabbed the children. Medical teams appeared. Jake and Sierra collapsed on the grass. Alive. Barely, but alive. Headmistress Verena stood over them. "That was the most foolish thing I have ever seen. You could have died." "But we did not," Jake gasped. "No," Verena said. A small smile appeared. "No, you did not." "Well done." Crix and Naya collapsed beside them. The four of them lay in the grass, exhausted, burned, but together again. Crix said, "I am never running into danger with you humans again." Jake laughed. It hurt, but he laughed anyway. Sierra held his hand. The bond hummed between them. Stronger now. Unbreakable. They had faced death together. They had chosen each other. Nothing would ever be the same. Part 5. A new understanding. Jake woke 3 days later in the medical bay. Every inch of his body hurt. He was covered in regeneration gel that glowed soft green. Medical monitors beeped steadily. Sunlight filtered through windows. He was alive. Finally, a voice said. Jake turned his head carefully. Sierra sat beside his bed. She looked exhausted. Her bioluminescence was dim. There were dark circles under her eyes. Her hand rested on the edge of his bed. "How long have you been here?" Jake asked. His voice was rough. 3 days, Sierra replied simply. "I have not left." "Sierra, you need to rest." He rested. "Here, where I could feel the bond. Where I knew you were alive." She reached out and took his hand. The familiar warmth flowed between them. "You scared me, Jake Carson." "You almost died." "So did you," Jake said. "You came after me. You could have been killed." "Yes, I could have. But I was not about to let you sacrifice yourself alone. That is not how this works. We are bonded. Where you go, I go." A nurse entered. She was a species Jake did not recognize. Tall and translucent. "Good you are awake," she said. "Your recovery is remarkable. Most species would still be unconscious. Your pain tolerance and healing rate are far beyond what we expected. Just human biology," Jake said. "Just human biology," the nurse repeated with a smile. "I have been telling people that all week. The human boy who ran into plasma fire and survived. You are famous, Jake Carson?" "Great," Jake muttered. "That is exactly what I wanted." The nurse checked his vitals and left. Sierra stood and looked out the window. "She is right, you know. You are famous. The whole academy has been outside this room. Waiting for news, leaving gifts. The 3 children you saved have visited every day with their families. Their parents want to meet you. Thank you. I just did what anyone would do, Jake said. Sierra turned to face him. Her bioluminescence flared bright. No, you did what humans do. You saw children in danger, and you ran toward death without hesitation. Not because you are fearless. You were terrified. I felt it through the bond. You ran despite the fear? That is courage, Jake. Real courage. Over the next week, Jake recovered. The regeneration gel worked fast. His burns healed. His strength returned. And every day brought new surprises. The 3 children he saved came with their families. They brought gifts. Sweets from their homeworlds. Handmade drawings. A small crystal that glowed in the dark. The parents cried when they met him, called him a hero. Jake did not know what to say. He just hugged the children and told them he was glad they were safe. Students he had never spoken to stopped him in the halls, thanked him, asked about Earth, about humans, wanted to understand the species that produced someone like him, Vex. The Sarkathy girl who had debated against him found him in the library. She stood awkwardly for a moment, then spoke. I was wrong about humans, she said. Her voice was stiff, uncomfortable. I thought you were weak, primitive. I judged your entire species by surface traits. I see now that strength comes in many forms. You have a courage I cannot understand. I respect that. I respect you. She left before Jake could respond. He sat there stunned. That was probably the hardest thing she had ever said. Crix and Naya officially declared Jake his family. Crix called him her clutch brother. It was a Krell honor, given only to those who would die for you. Naya called him her pod family. The Lions used that term for chosen kin. Both gifts were sacred. Both made Jake tear up. You were stuck with us now, human, Crix said with clicking laughter. Family is forever. Academy's board held an emergency meeting. The news had spread across multiple star systems. A human boy risking his life to save alien children. It challenged every stereotype, every prejudice. They voted unanimously. Celestial Academy would open enrollment to all genders and all species. The 300-year tradition of being all-female would end. Jake's integration would be the model. Headmistress Verena called him to her office. She looked at him with her piercing silver eyes. You have changed this institution, Jake Carson. In a few short weeks, you have challenged everything we thought we knew about humans. About strength. About courage. The galaxy is taking notice. Are you prepared for that? I just want to finish school, Jake said honestly. Verena laughed. A deep rumbling sound. I suspect school is the least of your concerns now. But yes, you will finish. You will graduate. And when you do, you will carry our name with honor. The biggest change was Sierra. The bond between them had deepened, grown. They could feel each other's emotions clearly. Now joy, sadness, fear, love, they spent hours talking, learning, understanding. One evening they sat in the meditation garden. The purple sun was setting. The sky was painted in colors Earth did not have. Sierra glowed softly beside him. I need to tell you something, Sierra said. About the resonance bond. Okay, Jake said. It is permanent now. After what we went through, after I channeled my energy into you, we are fully bonded, linked forever. I will always feel you, always know where you are, always sense your emotions. And you will feel me the same way. Is that a bad thing? Jake asked. No, Sierra said. She turned to face him. Her eyes held stars. It is the best thing that has ever happened to me. But I need you to understand what it means. In Lumine culture, bonded pairs are ... together partners. Mates. I know we are young. I know this is fast. But the bond has decided. Our souls match perfectly. Jake took her hand. I feel it too. Every time I look at you, every time we touch, something in me recognizes something in you. Like we were always meant to find each other. Even though I am not human. Sierra asked quietly. Especially because you are not human, Jake said. You showed me that differences do not matter. That connection goes deeper than species or appearance or culture. You ran into fire for me, Sira. You gave me your life force. You chose me when it would have been easier to let me go. That means everything. Sira's bioluminescence blazed brilliant white. She leaned forward and touched her forehead to his. The Lumine gesture of ultimate trust, souls touching. I love you, Jake, Carson of Earth, she whispered. I love you too, Sira of House Luminos, Jake whispered back. They sat together as the sun set. Two beings from different worlds, different species, different biologies, but connected in a way that transcended all of it. Weeks turned into months. Life at the academy found a new rhythm. More human students arrived. Other species too? Boys joined the all-girls school. The change was rocky at first. Arguments, conflicts, growing pains. But slowly it worked. Students learned from each other, taught each other, grew together. Jake's quantum physics class became legendary. Professor Zialara loved pairing students from different species, watching them combine different ways of thinking to solve impossible problems. Human intuition with Lumine computation, Krell precision with Thalian creativity. The results were amazing. Jake helped Crix understand human emotions. She taught him about hive consciousness. Naya showed him underwater meditation techniques. He taught her about human music. Sira and Jake were inseparable. They studied together, trained together, faced every challenge as a team. One morning, Jake stood in the same classroom where he had first arrived, where 300 students had stared at him like he was a specimen, where he had felt so alone. So out of place now, the room was filled with a dozen different species, boys and girls, all learning together, all respecting each other. A Sarkothi girl helped a human boy with a math problem. A Thalian boy shared lunch with a Lumine girl. Crix told a joke that made everyone laugh. Professor Zialara called the class to attention. Today we tackled the Heisenberg variance problem. It has been unsolved for 60 years. Who wants to try? Jake raised his hand. So did 5 others. Different species, different perspectives. Together, they approached the board, started working, combined their knowledge, their unique ways of thinking. Within an hour, they had the answer. Professor Zialara stared at the solution, checked it 3 times, then smiled. Well done, all of you. This is what the future looks like. Different species, working as one, learning that our differences are our greatest strength. After class, Jake walked to the meditation garden. It had become his favorite place. Sira met him there. She always knew when he wanted to talk. Thinking about Earth? She asked. Always, Jake admitted. I miss my family, my planet. But this place has become home too. These people have become family. You can have both, you know. Multiple homes. Multiple families. That is the gift of the galaxy. Connection without borders. Jake looked at the alien sky, the 3 moons rising, the constellations he was learning to recognize. He thought about the boy who had arrived here months ago, scared, alone, convinced he would never fit in. That boy would not recognize who he had, become confident, connected, loved, not despite being human, because he embraced what being human meant: resilience, empathy, courage, heart. What are you thinking about? Sira asked. She could feel his emotions, but not his thoughts. I am thinking about how I almost did not come here, how I almost refused the exchange program. I was so scared of being different, of not belonging. Now I cannot imagine being anywhere else. The galaxy is better with you in it, Sira said. She took his hand. I am better with you in it, same, Jake said. Definitely same. Students passed by the garden. They waved at Jake and Sira, smiled, stopped to chat. No one stared anymore. No one whispered. Jake was just Jake, a student, a friend, a hero, a human. Crix ran up. There you are. Naya found an amazing restaurant. Food from 15 different worlds. Want to come? Definitely, Jake said. The four of them walked together. Through the academy, through the courtyards, through the place that had once seemed so alien and now felt like home. As they walked, Jake thought about the title humans had earned in the galaxy. HFY, humanity, fuck yeah. It came from their reputation. Their refusal to quit, their ability to face impossible odds and somehow survive. Humans were not the strongest species, not the smartest, not the most advanced, but they had something special. Something that could not be measured or quantified. They had heart, and heart could change everything. In the cafeteria, Jake sat with his friends. They laughed, shared food, told stories. A Sarkathy, a Krell, a Thalion, a Lumine, and one human boy, different in every way, but family nonetheless. That night, Jake sent a message to Earth, to his family. He told them about the academy, about his friends. About Syrah, he told them he was happy, safe, loved. He told them the galaxy was ready for humanity, not as conquerors or servants, as equals, as partners, as friends, the message sent. Jake looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, home, but this was home too now. And maybe that was okay. Maybe home was not a place. Maybe home was wherever you were connected, wherever you were valued, wherever you were loved. Jake smiled. He had come to an alien girls' school expecting judgment, expecting rejection. He had found family instead, found love, found purpose. The galaxy had changed him. But he had changed the galaxy too. One act of courage at a time, one bond at a time, one friend at a time. That was the human way. That was the HFY spirit. Not domination, connection, not conquest, understanding, not superiority, equality. The future was bright. The future was diverse. The future was together, and Jake Carson of Earth was exactly where he belonged.